Pankration was an ancient Greek sport that combined boxing, wrestling, and other fighting arts. Combatants fought in the nude and were covered in oil all over their bodies. Biting and gouging of the eyes, nose, or mouth with fingers were the only prohibited moves. Anything else was allowable. Very often, the fighters got nicknames according to their preferred submission moves. One pancratiast earned the name Fingertips from his habit of breaking his adversary's fingers to start the match. Each bout would end by submission or death. Now, I don't know about you, but I think a film where Mr. Eastwood and Mr. James square off to the death in the nude and slathered in oil is exactly what we need right now. We watch $1 Million Baby, and here comes the boom.
Ah, the French champagne.
Can you tell me which members of the Reservoir Dogs you two are currently dressed as?
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
Classic.
Classic Spielberg.
Classic Spielberg.
He needs to kill 94 different 65-year-old men over 2.5 years because those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Shake it. Shake it.
The schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is... Well,
Finally, an intro that I can work with, Sean. Thank you.
Finally, something that people can relate to.
Wait, shit, 3 episodes ago, you were like, that was the best intro I've ever heard.
But, you know, thank you, Sean. A little history lesson this week, something that I didn't know, something that I hope I'll forget. So thank you. And the perfect intro to this week's movies. Movies about overcoming physical triumph, exertion, combat, right? So without any further ado, I'll just introduce us right away this week and say welcome to Citizen Kane Versus, where we compare a movie that is considered to be more of a classic versus a movie that's more on the schlocky side, and we ask ourselves honestly, which is better? My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my two friends, a one.
Sean Jacqueline.
And the other,
Daniel Benoit.
wow,
I'm doing my best
always-
Clint Eastwood. I'm doing my and incidentally also Morgan Freeman in Here Comes in $1 Million Baby.
It's coming through, and we're joined this week, this episode, by I'm guessing someone we found on Chat Roulette, but has become a quick friend, Mr. Andrew Merrigan. Hey, Andrew.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Should I say, thanks for having me? I challenged Motor City Cobra, Thomas the Hitman Hearns. Yeah, sorry, that's a great Canadian actor right there.
You went to the Jay
Baruchel
Baruchel School of Acting.
Props to him, you know?
Props to Jay in this movie. And
This would have been
mean
an
that-
early breakthrough role for him.
Yeah.
I think it was.
It really was.
And that's a great impression. They really missed out on not casting you.
Hey, I was available. I just felt like my representation was just, lacking. So,
They had to get one of the
hopefully
noted.
Jay will see this and see how lucky he was.
Oh, I think so. And as a fan, Jay is always telling us how appreciative he is that we haven't taken more roles from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see. He's always tweeting at us.
Yeah.
He's a big friend of the pod. So let's introduce our audience now to these two movies. Dan, would you care to take it away with a couple summaries for these two heavyweight contenders?
Yeah, but you forgot our call to action, man. We talked about this earlier.
We did talk about this. It's new. I realize we've got to say it now. So if you are listening,
Because you bastards aren't listening all the way to the end.
Yeah, because people don't listen to the end. So we'll say it sooner now that if you have listened to even 5 minutes of this podcast, thank you so much. Please do subscribe, hit those buttons, leave a comment, rate and review. Citizen Kane Versus on Twitter, Citizen Kane Versus Citizen Kane Versus Podcast on Instagram, Citizen Kane Versus VS on YouTube. We're all over the place. Check us out. Leave the comments. Hit the buttons. It means so much. Thank you, everyone. And now, without any further ado, we get those sweet, sweet, sweet summaries.
In the blue corner, representing the classics, an old trainer that overcomes his disdain for female athletes to train the Mike Tyson of women's boxing, only to have to literally decide if she lives or dies. Coming in at 132 minutes, starring Clint Eastwood and Hilary Swank, $1 Million Baby.
Makusha, 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 Makusha. What the hell does it mean?
And in the red corner, representing the schlock, a shitty teacher and all-around human being that suddenly and inexplicably grows a heart and enters the world of professional cage fighting in order to save a co-worker's job. Coming in at 105 minutes, starring Kevin James and Selma Hayek, Here Comes the Boom.
Not chanting yeah, those are them. And I want to say something right off the bat about these two, which is that Andrew, you may have noticed as we introduce these movies, it's often the case that we introduce the classic first and then the schlock.
Yeah.
And often I end up watching them in that order as well.
Yeah.
And this week I decided I felt it felt right. I switched it and I was like, I'm gonna make the schlock the precedent, and I'm gonna base it off of and then base $1 Million Baby off of that. And I think that really altered my viewing experience for these movies.
I was gonna say I did it the other way.
Yeah.
I knew just how sad $1 Million Baby.
So
I had to get out of that mindset to talk to you guys, because like it's a movie theater. It's a movie theater movie, like a classic movie theater movie, because you need to be in the dark for that movie. And I don't mean that as in like men can't cry. I mean it as in like I don't want anyone to see me ugly crying, because that's what I do in that movie.
Aw.
yeah, I mean, I just finished it like 30 minutes ago. Sorry. Yeah, Sean.
I was going to say, in however many episodes of this that we've done, I have never been so close, like on the line with the two movies after seeing both of them. I've never been like, I could go either way as much as I am right now.
Yeah, because
I agree.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off there, but talking about like it's more enjoyable, right? Like that is the premise here that we're talking about, right? And yeah, it's toss up.
But like my experience, and this won't give too much away, like I'm gonna have again, Sean, I agree, I feel very like confounded as what I'm gonna say in these conversations. But like I can imagine if I watched $1 Million Baby first and then watched Here Comes the Boom, it'd be like, oh, like a really serious movie. And then in comparison, I'd be like, oh, and then a Looney Tunes episode. Like that's what my brain would do.
Pretty much.
Well, okay. So as someone who has never seen $1 Million Baby before and only knows like, oh, they won all the awards, and this movie is of a different era, and I'm not sure if I fully enjoy that era, if this is what's held up as like the cream of the crop of 2004, you know?
Agree. Because I did the opposite. And let me tell you, coming from Here Comes the Boom to $1 Million Baby, it's like, oh, a really playful, like silly movie that just wants to have a bit of a chuckle at itself, and all over. And then $1 Million Baby is like, and what if you attended a funeral today?
Yes. Literally the whole thing.
And what if at that funeral they have carbon monoxide leaks and everyone at the funeral dies?
Yeah.
And then the coroner trips over the bodies because there are so many, and he cracks his neck on a stool. And he's paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah.
And then the priest commits.
And that's the midway point of the movie.
Yeah.
That's halfway through the movie.
Oh, well, maybe we should dive in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's dive in. So let's start our first round. Round one. Acts good.
It's story good, I think.
Oh, story good?
Welcome, Jack. To Citizen
Have you
Versus.
done
It's nice to have
this
you on as a
podcast before,
guest.
man?
So you're a guest on the show too.
I've had a sip of the whiskey, and so I'm gone, sir.
Nice.
So as I said the first time, round one, story good. So,
Commence.
I want to start with Sean, to kind of spin you off of what you were just saying. What's your feeling on the overall stories of these movies?
I think both of them are contrived to hell. I think.
Oh yeah, such a good word.
both, like in different ways, though. I think Here Comes the Boom is contrived because they just needed a story structure to ram Kevin James does the UFC thing out.
Yeah.
And like the contrivances are pretty obvious, but they're also handled fairly well, so you can kind of forgive it. The contrivances in $1 Million Baby are there purely to be like, this is what you're supposed to feel right now, and now you're feeling this instead. And it's very heavy-handed, and I almost can't forgive that as much.
Right. There's something about Here Comes the Boom that is a bit more allowing. It's like, look, we're doing this. Like, take what you will. It's certainly the energy that I got from it. It's like some stuff that, like, even when a joke doesn't land, the movie is like, hey, It's not, not every joke is for everyone. Anyway, moving on. It's like, it seems to have that energy, whereas like $1 Million Baby is like, do you feel this?
Yeah.
Isn't this sad? What does Morgan Freeman say? His daughter sends his letters back every week. Cry for us, audience. This is sad. I told you it's sad.
Correct.
And so
I love that everybody's go-to voice for describing $1 Million Baby is just Riff Raff from Rocky Horror.
So that's like Vincent Price.
Yeah.
And so he came. I had never seen either of these movies either, to be clear. So this was new. So Andrew, you own both these movies. That's correct. You showed off your Blu-ray editions.
That blows my mind apart. The fact that you have Here Comes the Boom on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah,
that is
and $1 Million Baby on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, right. Well,
that's a bit more forgivable, but
the truth is that like most of my Blu-rays are. I bought a ton of Blu-rays when Blockbuster was going out of business. So the $1 Million Baby pickup was definitely from Blockbuster going out of business, and they were like giving them away basically. But the Here Comes the Boom is just like my pride and joy. I just had to order that. That's just believe it or not, this is actually probably one of the best MMA movies there are. I'm not even
Are there a lot?
There's
quite a few.
There's quite a few like B, C, D level MMA movies, and it's like, it was actually, and you got to think about it. This is 2014, I think that Here Comes the Boom was.
I think it was 2012.
2012. Okay,
I think it was 2012. Yeah,
that's like UFC is still on the rise, right? Like it's still on the come up, and I mean it's still on the rise now, but now it's so established. It's on Fox, you know what I mean? Like you can tune in and watch it, right? Whereas like I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like a weird and kind of goofy and funny milestone for the sport. And like I'm a huge fan of boxing and MMA and combat sports, even though it should probably be illegal because of brain damage, but it's something I like to watch. So it was kind of exciting for me as a college student, a university student, and a big UFC fan to see something like this on the big screen.
Mm-hmm. And they don't hide the fact that it's an ad.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. It really is. This
movie is an ad for like the demographic. It's like, hey, are you 50?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you think you could beat up these little whippersnappers?
Yeah.
UFC is the place for you to tune in and buy on pay-per-view.
Which sends the wrong message, though, to anybody who wants to maybe possibly be a fighter.
Yeah.
Like, as a fight fan, I had some real fundamental issues with Here Comes the Boom.
Yeah.
Well, so does Nico. Yeah, right? Probably the same gripes you do, right?
Oh, yeah. I would say Boss Rutan probably watched that movie and was just kind of like, I liked the parts I was in. Because he is that kind of cartoon character. Like, that's just him.
Right.
But, like, I can only imagine he was probably like, I don't know. It kind of seems like Boss Rutan wrote the screenplay, to be honest.
Is that the guy who played Nico? Yeah, he was having the ball. He was having the time of his life.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's also a commentator now and an ex-professional fighter. And that, like Andrew's saying, that really is his personality. He's just like this kind of buffoonish cartoon character, but also really well-versed in like mixed martial arts.
A
right?
legend, MMA legend, yeah.
I love that. He was a great part of the movie. There were all kinds of stuff. Like I had lots of really genuine laughs throughout this movie. Like this movie was funny. Like I'm not gonna pretend I didn't find this movie funny. I had a good time. The whole thing that boss that Nico was doing, the whole thing of like, no, twisting is good. Twisting is good.
Twisting.
Like, twisting. That shit's funny. And it's so random and specific.
His
that
cycle
it
class,
tickled me.
his spin class.
Yeah.
Come on, ladies.
And what was it? Was it disco
Slippers?
street fighting? Was that the other one?
Street fighting, yeah.
That's not MMA.
I also enjoyed that Here Comes the Boom is also like a thinly veiled socio-political commentary on the failures of the American education and healthcare systems.
Yeah.
So it's all wrapped in there, you know.
They're like fighting for music the whole time.
yeah,
You know?
instead of like publicly funding your institutions and making sure that people don't have to go broke when they what did he have to go to the hospital for? Dislocated shoulder? Yeah, so you can get that treated professionally, not just by your friend who does the nursing at school.
Oh, yeah, which is probably actually happening. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Is that Here Comes the Boom, and it's almost good that it doesn't try and push it too far, because honestly, the version of it, like one of my big gripes with this movie is that principal character who is written to be just like a mustache twirling, like sinister villain, just being like, what's that you said? Another day off.
yeah,
And
they really missed an opportunity actually to make it a little bit more of a socio-political film, in the sense of like they really could have had him be kind of a passenger with the fact that they just didn't have the money and that the money was just going away.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford it.
But I think go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and it just would make, I guess there wouldn't be so much of a villain then, and it's kind of a schlocky family comedy, and I guess they do need that mustachioed villain. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that they'd be alienating their kind of target demographic if they tried to make too much of a commentary out of this movie, right?
Yeah, I don't think what they wrote in was intended as commentary, but I think the fact that it is just written into a movie and it's like, yeah, of course, this teacher, it's an underfunded school, so they're cutting a bunch of programs, so he has to become an MMA fighter to fund it. That's just the American dream, right?
Yeah.
Right. To stand up for the little guy, to all that kind of stuff. And like I thought that scene, for example, when they're having like the teachers meeting and stuff, and Henry Winkler is defending himself, and then he stands up, like that was a good scene.
It was.
It was good.
Winkler's
I was
actually
invested.
pretty good in this movie. He's funny in this
He's
movie.
fantastic.
When is Winkler not good in anything? He's
I know.
so charming and cute. I fucking love that guy.
He's adorable.
He's the sweetest old man.
But I know what you mean, Jack. I was shocked that the movie, because it's tonally it's very weird. You expect it to be like a normal Kevin James film, Adam Sandler film.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of heart and he knows the right thing right from the beginning. So it is more of a story about your frustration at him, like what's facing him, rather than like him having to overcome these things.
Yeah.
Which kind of confused me as to why they try so hard to set him up as such a douchebag in the first 15 minutes of this movie, only to have it like turn on its head literally on a dime.
Well, someone read a screenplay writing book about arcs, and then they were like, well, he has to be a jerk, like a mega jerk at the beginning.
He has to learn something.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it has, like, it's just that thing where it does kind of seem like there was a version of this script at one point that maybe was more nuanced, and people went, they're just not going to get it. Let's just make it simple. Yeah. It kind of seems like it. Like, and let's just say, no, he can't just be late for work. He's also, just like blatantly bad with his students.
Yeah. It was almost like they were like, oh, we've got Kevin James. It's Kevin James. So he has to be like an over the top buffoon in the first minutes, or people are going to walk out. Yeah. Right. Like, and that wouldn't have been the case at all. Had he just been late and had he just been like trying to get there and kind of like down on his luck and that kind of thing, then like, I don't know. I think I would have understood it with the character a little bit more, because he kind of, like you said in the lead in, I think you said it, Sean, was that he just kind of like all of a sudden kind of like is now competent and is matured and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
a spray tan.
It really he's a douchebag. Yeah, he's a douchebag up until he gets until he gets the bus duty and goes and he finds out that Henry Winkler's wife is pregnant. And then the next scene, he suddenly becomes the hero that like we expect him to grow into by the end of the film. So that's the new starting point. And contrast and compare that with how they wrote Jay Baruchel and Hilary Swank's characters in $1 Million Baby. Anyone?
Go on.
How do you mean? No, I mean,
contrast.
Elaborate, please.
I was more of a leaping pad, but
it was fun. It was fun to let that hit the ground completely.
Thanks for picking up the ball, guys.
Here comes the boom. Yeah.
Or should I say?
Here comes the thud.
Here comes the thwomp.
Here comes the thwomp.
I just they were written in such. Jay Baruchel's character, as we've already noted, was over the top, but he's like written to be completely simple. In like the same year,
was weird coming.
The same year that he was in Tropic Thunder, and the like main takeaway of that film is you never go full simple.
Right. Yeah.
And here he is doing this.
That's it. That's what they edited in on the TV version of it too. You never go full simple. Like, his mouth do something else there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought that was weird too. Like looking back, like I think I watched that movie in 2004 and never even like really registered that like they had kind of like almost like a disabled character. I thought like I think like as a 14-year-old I watched that and he was just kind of like a goofy comedic relief. Like I didn't think oh like there's actually something wrong with him. I don't know why I didn't pick up on that because I don't remember that as a character as being like a mentally disabled or like a slow or simple character, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's just one example, and he definitely he fits into the movie in an interesting way. They use him a lot to like, he seems to be someone who's paired against Hilary Swank's character as like this, like,
well, he's introduced
both
at the
people
end.
that have heart, right?
Yeah.
That whole thing.
And it's supposed to be like, even though at the end when he comes up, he's like, I'm ready to give it another go. You're like, okay, like the inspiration still drives on. It influences the next line of people to take on these challenges. But like that only is clear in the final scene. Other than that, he is just the reason Morgan Freeman had to stay in the gym and not go to Vegas.
And that's the thing. That's an overriding thing with this movie that I think grinds my gears. It's a little bit is that it's a full 2 hour plus movie, 2 hour 10 minute, roughly that keeps 2 or 3 things right to the end to be like Makushla means this. Jay Baruchel was here because of this. End of movie credits. Like aren't we smart? There's something sort of self-congratulatory about it all, of like. Yeah, just how much they wanted to keep those things. They really were leaning into the Makushla, which was moving. I'm not a robot.
Yeah,
but.
I was gonna say I kind of feel like though, like the fact that they kind of had like a few little things that they kind of revealed as it ended, it kind of took away from the Makushla, because I think the Makushla was actually the big payoff, right?
Yeah,
that was the actual like kind of like connection and the kind of like lesson that Clint Eastwood's character learns, that Frankie learns kind of, or I guess not so much like he learns the lesson, but he kind of like finally can express himself emotionally to this woman, like, and he finally has that like paternal connection that he was clearly like desperately wanting, which was definitely a little heavy-handed now that you go back and you look at it, you know, with the letters and stuff. But to me, it was almost like what was missing was an actual scene between Frankie and his daughter to actually kind of, you know, that would to me would have been a more interesting way to show how strained that relationship was.
His other. I think I've only seen Hacksaw Ridge of the other things he's directed, and it has the like an
Didn't
almost.
Mel Gibson do Hacksaw Ridge?
Did he? No, I think it was.
I'm pretty sure it's Mel Gibson.
I think that's Mel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say they both have the same kind of saccharine tone. So maybe that's a generational thing. I don't know.
They are both old.
Aaron, look into that.
Yeah.
Talking to Aaron on Twitch.
Jay, could you Google that right now and tweet it into the show?
Yeah. And so, I don't know. There's something about $1 Million Baby. I liked it. Like I would say I didn't like it. I liked it. There's a lot of really lovely stuff about it. There is something about it, and Sean, you kind of hinted on it. There's something maybe just that has aged surprisingly quickly from the time it was made. Interestingly enough,
I'm shocked that this won the awards it did. I'm shocked.
kind of
Hilary
was I.
I'm shocked she won Best Actress. I don't know what I was up against, but shocked that
I'm
she won
kind of
for
shocked.
this.
I'm kind of shocked too. And the one thing I'm going to bring up now, it's kind of a sound note, but I would say it's a big script issue for me, is all the Morgan Freeman narration. What the hell?
And not
Oh,
only that,
so
he's not
brutal.
even there at
What
the
the
major
heck?
points. Like, I could understand it if he went to Vegas. I could understand it if he was like in the corner with Frankie throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like, he's just literally at home in the gym in like the saddest room anyone has ever
Yeah.
lived in.
And we don't know where his money's going. I thought we were
He's
going
he's
towards
a gambler.
He's a gambler.
He is
He's a gambler.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay,
He like intentionally gets paid little so that he doesn't.
so he doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, then I missed that entirely. I thought he'd been like squirreling away his money and he's living in destitute poverty so that he could buy something for someone, but no.
All right.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
I could barely understand what he was saying half the time in that narration,
Any of them.
which made
but that's
which
a
made
sound note.
Any of them.
Well, it's also
But
it was
it's
also
a-
a note for him who decided to just kind of talk like this the whole time. Yeah, it felt like it felt like Shawshank Redemption 2.0, like his same character
Yeah,
from
they were
Shawshank.
leaning into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were.
Andy Dufresne. It was a lot, and a lot of the times it was just too much. It was too much. It was that thing where I felt like I was being force fed something that the movie didn't want to let me decide how much to be invested. It was
No.
like, you should be this invested by now, and here's a line just to make sure on top of this scene that you are there. Okay.
Because Clint is a very good visual director. His shots are wonderful, and he knows how to show power and show shifts just with physicality and with like what's being presented. So
The
having
cast is fairly crazy too, as far as just being stacked.
and it does, having Morgan Freeman narrate over top of these scenes that were also being shown distracts from the story that he's telling with the directorial lens, and I was just getting pissed off instead of like looking at what the actors were doing.
Yeah.
So take that, Clint.
Yeah.
He didn't write it though.
Take that, Paul Haggis.
Paul
There you
Haggis
go.
wrote it, yeah.
Fuck you, Paul Haggis.
That's
My
our
contribution.
Citizen Kane versus Paul Haggis this week. Fuck you, Paul Haggis. Unless you know Carrie Elways, in which case, please give us his number.
Come on, Carrie.
Come on, Carrie. Hashtag come on, Carrie. Do you know what the hashtag, Andrew?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
So the initiative, just really for the rest of the podcast and as long as it goes, is just to get Carrie Elways to come on the show, just for like, honestly, 30 seconds, if we can get that.
It's like a bumper.
Just like
Yeah.
a bumper.
Yeah.
We could
just-
pay a cameo for him. I bet.
I was just thinking that.
Exactly. There it
But
is.
I want the real thing.
not
I don't.
paying.
I don't want to leave no money
Right.
and no dressers for Carrie Elways. I want him. I want him to want it.
So come on, Carrie.
So that's why we are trying to get the hashtag. Come on,
right.
Carrie. Come on the show. Hashtag. Come on, Carrie. So
All right.
anyway,
I think it could happen.
I
Not
think
if
it
you
can
keep
happen
saying
too.
"Come on, Carrie" like that. It's not going to happen.
I'm just saying.
Hashtag
Come on, Carrie.
Carrie.
Yeah,
Come
hashtag
on,
come on,
Carrie.
Carrie. What? It means come on the show. It means come on. It's got multiple meanings. Just the two of them.
It
Okay.
does. Yeah.
So-
I would like to talk about momentarily the murder scene in $1 Million Baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and just like the major plot holes in how fucking simple it was for him to just walk into the hospital and murder this patient. Because I'm pretty sure that in hospitals they
That's
have
the second.
like,
That's the second murder scene. There's two murder scenes.
What's the
what was the
first?
first murder scene?
The first one happens in a boxing ring. When she lowers her guard, the round is over,
Right.
and she punches her in the head, and she
Oh,
falls,
yeah.
and
And
you
she
know,
hits the stool.
and she hits the stool. That's a murder. That's
Yeah.
full on. I mean, you know what? You could argue that they got the charges dropped to manslaughter.
No, she won
But,
the championship. She won the
that's,
belt. She kept
Yeah,
the
she
belt.
won apparently that fight.
Yeah, well, that was one of the major things I had problem. I was like, wow, her mother is the worst ever, because you don't even understand. That would have been a DQ loss for
Yeah.
the
Yeah. No, it's like no. She Hillary Swank won that fight.
would be the champion for
You're
sure.
the champion.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I want to clear this up
Anyway,
then.
sorry.
So
Yeah.
okay, so we'll get back to the murder scene in a second, or the second murder scene. But while we're on the topic, in the event that a champion who is entitled to 50% of the purse, if she gets disqualified and possibly murders her opponent, does she also then forfeit her purse to her opponent? Because I'm trying to figure out why the movie is called $1 Million Baby. And I know that the final fight is worth $1 million. They each get half. And Maurice's theory was that it was because the prostitute champion decided that, or forfeited her purse to Hilary Swank after committing manslaughter.
It sounds
and it's
good
more-
as a title, Dan. It's
I think it's more just a title thing, honestly. Yeah. I think
But I'm
like,
asking- but I'm
I don't
asking a
think like
sports question.
$500,000 babies getting produced, you know?
$500,000 baby? That might...
Half a baby.
That sounds like you're talking about half a baby. Yeah. But I don't have an answer to your technical question.
Nah, it's just a
The-
catchy title, I think.
The titular phrase $1 Million Baby was used as an insult during pre-fight publicity by Sonny Liston to Muhammad Ali, who
which
was
is
an
horrible.
underdog at the time. So we called him $1 Million Baby.
It's
there you
actually
go.
kind of a great title then, you know, like just because it's a callback to a classic boxing reference.
Oh, there you go.
See, now I'm
Okay.
a fraud now. That's
You're a hack and a fraud.
right there. That's Muhammad Ali's autograph on that. So
Oh,
Is that really? Yeah, why
It
do you have so
really
many
is.
boxing gloves back there?
my dad is a huge boxing fan, and he's accumulated these over the years. So it's Lennox Lewis and Dr. Reuben Hurricane Carter are the other two.
Oh, damn.
Is your dad Kevin James?
My dad is Clint Eastwood, so
Whoa.
Even worse.
But speaking of Kevin James, are there any other before we move on? Any other story points about Here Comes Los Boomos?
I think Here Comes
many.
the Boom.
yeah.
Sorry,
I
go
think
ahead,
Here Comes Boom has gotten off a little light so far.
Totally.
The entire romantic subplot with Salma Hayek is atrocious.
No, the subplots in general, man. Why do they have so many of them? Pick one.
Yeah.
The whole
that's my dog.
night. Where's jalapeno?
Right
you
here.
Can,
right
you
here.
can bring him on the pod. He's welcome anytime.
Okay. Well, don't
She.
misgender my dog.
Sorry,
Okay?
it.
Fuck Jack.
G.
Disconnect.
I'm tweeting about this right now. Canceling Jack.
Ending your career.
Dave Baruchel's gonna just crucify you, dude.
Like
You know
this,
Seth Rogen.
he's gonna be like this fucking guy. I can't do Dave Baruchel. He kind of has like a what? Like he's. I'm not gonna say. I can't do it. I don't have it.
Yeah.
That's pretty close. I like it.
It's in the realm, but I don't know him well enough. Yeah, the whole night school classroom scene when that first happened, the first one, I was like, what the hell is this? Why are we here?
I understand it as like an opportunity to introduce Nico,
That's
but
Nico.
I don't understand like why it would be a continuous kind of like thing that they kind of keep revisiting.
When it seems like they improvised the first scene entirely.
Yeah.
And they just had the guy playing Miguel who was like, citizen.
Yeah.
Citizen.
I don't know where they got that guy, but
Yeah.
I'm sure glad they did.
He's a great little character actor for
He
sure.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you
But
go.
it's also
He's
a
got that
weird
niche.
yay.
Oh,
There's-
puppy.
puppy.
There she
Oh,
is.
jalapeno.
Yeah.
But it's also a funny scene where it's like just Kevin James kind of it's not heavy-handed, but it's just like people who are foreign to the United States.
Yeah.
And the whole scene where like all the potential punchlines are it's like they don't speak English well enough.
Yeah, like the one where it's all silent at the end. It goes to the different rooms where the cheering's happening, and then the new immigrants room is very silent. I guess the joke is they don't understand English.
Yeah, that's it's a weird subplot that we all agree just goes on too much
Yeah.
and doesn't serve enough of a purpose. And all it seems just to introduce Nico, right?
Yep.
Like the end of the movie is actually Nico getting his citizenship.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie. That's the last scene we see.
And to me, it's like they really actually kind of missed an opportunity to actually have that as the main subplot of like, you could actually have like Nico trying to like study to get this thing done, but that's not really ever brought back in. And I don't want to change too much, but speaking of like side characters that they bring in and serve really no purpose, Mark Delagrati comes into this movie and as the kickboxing instructor, like the kickboxing coach.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He is never referred to by name, and he is never introduced in the film. Literally, we don't know who this guy is or what his name is. It's just all of a sudden they're at the gym, and then the next moment they are at Mark Delagrati's house with Mark Delagrati's actual wife. Like,
Yeah.
and like there are so many MMA personalities. This is the one thing I will give props to this movie, is that like there are so many actual MMA personalities in this film that are actual fighters and actual trainers. So that's the one thing I will say that they got like completely accurate, is like, wow, you broke the bank on this casting.
Yeah.
But see, I was confused by that because I wasn't sure if this movie was for fight fans for that purpose, or for like a general audience who was supposed to be like introduced to fighting. Because if it's for fight fans, then they're setting people up to be royally disappointed and fucking enraged by this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's so like
Outlandish.
Well, yeah. Okay. So let me just talk about the fact that nobody who's never fought a day in their life is making 50 grand as a professional MMA fighter in like 4 months.
Yeah.
No. Nobody's making $3 grand for losing 2 fights and winning 1 in the underground cage fighting circuit.
Yeah.
Like, no, like maybe like 250 total.
There's guys making less than 10 grand to win and show it on a UFC undercard.
Yeah,
Like, that's straight
exactly.
up. That's true. That's not exaggeration.
Also, the UFC is Dana White in particular is historically shitty to fighters and just people in general. They're not just like doing a charitable move by letting this school teacher come in for a chance at 10 grand or 50 grand.
Well, what I thought was funny was that like they kind of missed an opportunity to actually explain how the business works, because he would have never been fighting for 50 grand to win. His contract probably would have been like 2 grand a show, 2 grand to win. And like for that level, like that low of a professional fighter, like first time on the card. But
he also didn't know how much he was winning.
A performance of the night bonus, a finish bonus, would have been literally exactly 50 grand. So they missed an opportunity with the story to have him get this like amazing finish, unexpected, and win the performance like knockout of the night, right? And win 50 grand and save the school.
Oh,
you also bring up a good point, Andrew, in that this movie implies that Kevin James either didn't look at or never signed a contract for this fight, because he didn't know what his win purse was until the fight was about to start.
Yeah, but you can't be expected as the audience to know that information, so they needed that to.
Yeah, but I mean, did they not miss like a funny scene where he could have been sitting down with Dana White, and Dana White could have just been treating him like garbage, like
yes,
and he signs it, and it's and each time Kevin James asks a question, Dana knocks off like $1 grand off the contract. They missed that opportunity. That would have been so funny.
They had to get the food fight scene in, okay?
Oh my God. But instead of having him sit down with Dana White, they have him sit down with Joe Rogan, who apparently is booking fights now.
Yeah.
And also orchestrating fighter intros. Like,
he was easily the worst actor in this film out of everyone who was playing themselves.
I thought he did a pretty good job. I remember I watched this movie a long time ago, and I remember him being far worse than I thought he was when I watched this movie last night.
Okay.
Shout out to Joe Rogan podcast if you ever want to do like a cross promo thing.
Cross promo. Maybe we get exactly.
I will not show up.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of,
go ahead.
Sorry, go.
No. I didn't have much to say.
Oh, okay. I was also going to say, speaking of the last scene of this movie, clearly I'm very passionate about this film. Speaking of the last scene of this movie being Nico getting his citizenship, golden opportunity missed. And also, as a viewer, I want to know, there's zero follow-up to this school teacher coming in his first professional fight and beating the UFC's like deadliest killer.
Yeah.
No press conference, no interview, no talk about his career moving forward in fighting, nothing. Like the fight's over, and
I think his kidneys at this point have reached maximum pulp.
That's true. Yeah.
Also
toast.
Also that anybody who doesn't fight professionally and takes a shit kicking like he does in the first round of that final fight, he'd be
Of every
literally
fight.
dead. He'd be literally dead.
This is what I thought. This is the whole time, because I watched $1 Million Baby first and then this film. I thought, man, this movie, Here Comes the Boom, should end the same way as $1 Million Baby.
He's getting them $50,000.
where Henry Winkler is unplugging Kevin James because this dude would be dead. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, I thought that even if you want to go past him surviving that first round, but I thought the same thing. Even if he gets to that third round or whatever he made it to, these movies both suffer from the like movie length fight rounds where the 2-minute rounds last 20 seconds and stuff like that. But wait, it's a movie, whatever.
Yeah.
So even if he does make it to the bell both rounds, which he doesn't, then in that third round or whatever, when he picks up the guy, and how he picks him up is they slow it down, but even still, it's not like he's doing a fluid up and down smash. He's just like lifting from his low back. Like he's slipping multiple discs.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
He should have slammed him down and then also not been able to walk. Like just as you say, like I totally agree that everyone's cheering and he's like crawling on his arms.
Dislocates his arm. He dislocates his arm and has it pop back in. And the next scene is him strutting down the hallway in his cool leather jacket.
Hey man, he's got those genetics.
Yeah.
He teaches biology, so he knows
he's
more
basically
about
Wolverine, dude.
Yeah.
Kevin James in Logan is what I want to see.
Oh, man.
2, back from the grave.
All right, I think
much I could say about it, both of these films still.
I know, but let's use some other categories to get some of our fodder out. Yeah? So let's say that's end of round. So let's move into our second round, and I do know the order now. So round 2 looks good. Begin. So let's talk about the looks of these movies.
Yeah, I mean, Sean kind of alluded to it earlier. I think I didn't realize that Clint Eastwood directed this film until the very end, and suddenly everything made so much more sense.
Directed by Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought visually, $1 Million Baby was a gorgeous film.
Stunning.
It really is.
It was like dark and gritty, but also like had some really like beautiful shots. I thought they handled the fight choreo and fight scenes like relatively well.
No, I didn't. That was. I'll argue with you right there, but I'll let you finish. But I disagree.
Good.
I disagree with you.
I do that to Sean all the time. Well, okay. All I was going to say was so I'm making that comment relative to my experience with Here Comes the Boom, which I thought handled the fight stuff horrendously. I thought that for a movie about professional cage fighting, they somehow managed to make every strike in that movie seem like nothing until the very end. I thought the final fight scene was actually pretty fucking exciting.
It was really good.
And some of the camera work and the choice to use a lot of POV and stuff, I thought that was handled really well. But in general, everything leading up to that, it seemed like nothing had any kind of physical consequence.
Right.
As opposed to in $1 Million Baby, which it felt like, I mean, she was a powerhouse.
Do you think that's because it's a comedy? Do you think that's because it's a comedy that they couldn't really lean too much into it having physical consequence? Because as soon as those strikes do, like, I mean, he's not fighting as often as he's going to fight if those things are actually hurting him the way that they would be, right?
I mean, probably. Yeah. I also think it's maybe just really hard to shoot a fake MMA fight. That's hard to choreograph in a way that looks real because it's so intricate. And boxing, you have a bit of an easier time because it's just punching.
I thought they did two things decent in Here Comes the Boom as far as the fight choreo. I really did. I thought the fight with Jason Mayhem Miller, who was the green-haired.
That's his name.
That was fun.
I thought that was actually a pretty good sequence. I mean, it's a little over the top because it's a movie and it's gonna, and he kind of got to see him get his ass kicked early on, and that's kind of like the iconic one. But like, I thought that like the work that they had him doing up against the cage while like Kevin James was actually protecting pretty well. Like he's getting hurt, but like they're not really like knockout blows. And then I thought that the actual knockout blow that he delivers to Mayhem's chin was like a picture perfect Roy Nelson, big country overhand right. You guys aren't going to get that, but don't worry. Jay Baruchel gets that reference. That's all that matters. He's a big.
Come on, Carrie.
Roy Nelson. Oh yeah, right, Carrie. I'm sure he's out there with his Roy Nelson poster on the wall, being like, yes, all right, one day we're getting closer to being on this show. I thought that was a good right hand, and I thought that the final fight was really good. I thought actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of mentioned it, Dan, with the camera work. I really liked how they used the camera when he was getting like hit big in that first fight, and he was really getting rocked. That the camera was swinging off, like. Into the kind of audience and not to the cage and stuff, like as though like it was like a real, again, POV, but like exaggerated, like it was a stylized POV. That I thought was a cool choice, right? Because they can't show these people fighting too much because you're gonna see too much, right? Yeah. So I thought it was pretty smart and a lot of the stuff.
I also thought it was interesting that like all of his opponents, Kevin James, in this movie are professional MMA fighters. And Andrew, remind me what the name of the guy. The kind of main like killer in the UFC.
Executioner.
Oh, well, it's
his actual name.
It's Krzysztof Sosinski.
That's it.
Canadian Polish fighter. He's from Canada.
Cool. And Kevin James also trains MMA in real life.
Yeah. Well, he definitely did for this movie. It was.
But he did even before. I think that's why this was the story that they decided to write because it was in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So that surprised me that we have professional fighters and somebody who's an actual practitioner and they can't make more of these fights.
Yeah.
But again, maybe it's supposed to stay. Maybe it can't be too violent because it's kind of supposed to be like a family-friendly, feel-good story,
right?
Which to me is really, really already like that's flawed going right into it because MMA to me is just like you can't gear it to the family.
No.
Yeah. It wanted to have a tone of like The Waterboy, where people get hit really hard, but the response is kind of like woo, like and there's like birds flying around the head. But it's not like they have weeks and weeks of recovery. That's not really the tone.
I wanted the scene where Kevin James has to turn to steroids to compete, and he's like fishing for it in like the underground locker room, trying to find someone to score off of.
That was missing.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought the fights in $1 Million Baby were also pretty good. They had some easy shots where they just like shot from behind the person getting punched, which is like pretty safe in terms of filming the fight. But then they did some cool stuff too, where the camera followed her over her shoulders to catch different punches that were also like really well done.
I think that those fight scenes, the camera work, I think the lighting and the different like shots that they actually like composed for those sequences were amazing. Oh, hello. You agree or do you disagree? But I thought that the fighting, like the boxing, I don't understand why they can't get boxing done properly in a Hollywood movie. Why does it seem like the punches almost have too much zip on them? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's not what a punch looks like. And that's not what it looks like when you take a punch. So, and I mean, I understand that to a certain degree, you got to be safe. Right. But I'm so over this, like, like, it's just like, right. Like, I don't understand why that like they set it up so much more casually than that, like professional boxers. And I don't think it's less exciting. I mean, people watch boxing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, because it's very much like a good boxing match is very much like a chess match where you're testing each other's defenses until you finally go for where you think their weakness is. But building that up in a like what should be a 30-second scene is going to be impossible.
And I do understand that, but I still like there's just something so forced about some of those knockouts that they have. Like they're like cartoonish, and I don't think it suits the film in the sense of like. Whereas like I didn't feel like the impact of her like being like the female Mike Tyson was really there. I just felt like, man, she's just fighting like these fighters who can't fight. Yeah,
I didn't know what the gravitas of the whole situation was. I didn't know what the stakes were totally. Partially because I think this film doesn't really know who the hero is until she dies, and we go like, oh, it's Clint Eastwood's story. Okay.
Yeah, which bugged me a lot. Yeah. In general, that the movie was way more about Clint Eastwood when it needed to be about Hilary Swank.
And for me personally, I thought that she was. I think that Hilary Swank is an incredible actress. I think that that is an incredible character with an incredible opportunity to explore some range, and I just feel like it's just like not there. It's very like, it's funny that she won Best Actor, and I think it's like one of those things where it was just so like it just like destroyed you emotionally in 2004. That I think that's why she won, rather than like, I don't know, like it was very kind of like one note. She was just kind of like this character through the whole thing. I didn't really see a huge change.
Well, let's save that for the acting category.
Sorry, getting
ahead of ourselves.
But looks, I also thought that the neck breaking shot was super weak.
It was awful.
So bad.
It was awful.
I laughed at it, and I don't think you're supposed to laugh at the climactic moment of the film.
No.
Because when they slowed it down, and when she was falling and they were setting it up, I literally did sit forward and I was like, no. Like it made me viscerally respond to it. And then the ending is like, wah.
It's like you can see that she acts like softly lays her neck on it because they were too afraid to like do anything. Yeah.
Which,
Whereas you could, to me, it would have been just like a stronger choice to almost not see the impact.
Just don't show it. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a classic movie thing. And then you avoid that, right? You shoot that scene, you realize it doesn't work, and you don't show it.
That's such an uncomfortable impact too. Like that's such an awful thing to have happen to someone, have them fall and hit their neck, and that's it for walking and living. And like, I think that you really missed an opportunity to almost leave that up to the audience of like how grotesque that was.
Yeah. Agree. And another thing, I'm going to change things again in terms of looks with $1 Million Baby. And it's all connected with, again, a general vibe of feeling, again, like I was being forced something. I agree. Lots of really lovely shots, good cinematography overall. I love the design of the gym. I was going to say that the gym, I kept getting lost in character.
The gym in the background. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah. A wonderful place to have like half of your movie set. Really, really great. But the lighting in this movie a lot.
Oh, I'll fight you on this.
I mean, are you? Because it was like way too much for me. Just too many scenes of light just being here on people.
Oh, I love
or
that.
Like just constantly being in the dark. It was just like an extreme choice. And there were times that you could get away with it, but there were just, for me, like too many times. Too many times. Okay. Of like people being in people's apartments and them, it's like, someone turn on the light. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, well, I think I think it's less a naturalistic approach to the lighting than it is an expressionist option to try and convey some further meaning from the scenario and the situation. But it is a naturalist film that it's being done in, so I can understand that.
Yeah, I'm not saying I couldn't appreciate it for its artistic merit.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, with everything else that was being like, to have that lighting and that narration and the fact that this movie is going to be, and the music was pretentious to me. We're getting there, but like, like it was just all in all when we got into the second half of the movie and there was yet another shot of just the light, like an angled like David Bowie streak across someone's face. Yeah. I was like, okay, I get it. I actually get it. I actually get it. Thank you, Clint.
Was that you eating it up, Sean?
That was me getting going to the sink, rinsing it out, and pouring another big old bowl.
He loves it. The guy's a fan.
I'm with Sean. I thought it was beautiful. I mean, I'm a big fan of.
Oh shit, Daniel likes it. No, I'm on Jack's side now.
What? No, I hated it. Sean, just plea in favor of it. I liked it. We gotta be in the same team.
I liked it. Yeah.
I thought it was gorgeous, and I mean the fact that it was consistent. I thought it helped to establish like a general tone of the film, and albeit totally heavy-handed, but
super well done.
It was well done. It wasn't cheap. The whole thing was beautiful, and I always through the entire movie knew what world I was living in for the time. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Whereas Here Comes the Boom had this weird metallic sheen over every scene that made me think they were filming in the middle of like a squall at all times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Visually, the visual quality of that film is strange. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Like Daniel, maybe like you could shed some light on it, but I don't know. There is something weird visually about that. Now, I do think that they got like certain things right in that movie with like the lighting in the last fight sequence. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that last fight sequence I think is like the best part of the movie. Like,
Yeah, it's
it
good.
really
100%.
is really good.
Yeah.
But like, there's some weird stuff that they do in that movie with lights.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got the impression they were also going for like a gritty family movie aesthetic. Like they
Which
were,
what is that even?
I don't know,
It's-
kind of
it's your-
rainy and cool. Like
yeah, it's
cool
like
into the color temperature,
Serpico
not
for
cool.
kids. It's like apocalypse bedtime, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, the that didn't bother me so much. Like quality of film, that's just like me though. Like quality of film that usually doesn't bother me too much. It's like choice of shots and stuff that more affects me.
Yeah.
And like this movie is not, it's not doing anything. It's just trying to be a movie that's made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like this is your meat and potatoes movie, right? That's what it is, with Kevin James being the potatoes.
And it's not just any meat and potatoes. It's like Hungry Man dinner.
It's like a Hungry Man dinner.
Yeah.
It's like it's the same every time. All right.
Yeah.
That's what you get here.
With the
say
exception of that final scene.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that final scene, I think, is entirely unique.
Interesting.
And
I think visually, yes, but I think the entire movie falls apart the moment they get to Vegas. And like structurally, everything starts coming off the wheels. But I should have said that in the last one.
You can say it. You already said it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
the narrative is a mess in this
the narrative's a
movie.
mess.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
that weird phone call with Salma Hayek where
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, it's useless. You should just come back." And
Yeah.
like, is the
What?
excuse for that scene because she's worried about his health? She doesn't want him to get in the fight because that's not emphasized enough earlier. If that's the excuse, she's just suddenly a like negative Nancy, and then 12 hours later, she's brought the entire school to or
Yes.
his entire class
Right.
to
This-
Las
this-
I didn't even
Vegas.
catch
This
that.
school, this school that is lacking funding. This
I
is
know.
the first thing Miranda said. She was like,
Yeah.
they drove all these kids to Vegas. They need
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
I think Joe Rogan said it
Oh,
up
right.
as
Joe
well.
Rogan. did
Joe
it.
Rogan.
Yeah,
I
she
think,
got in
foot
touch
the
with Joe
bill
Rogan.
because he has a lot of clout in the
He has
UFC.
the Spotify money, but that's it's retroactive.
Yeah.
The dude's a time traveler is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Seeing him with hair was neat.
I was
But
just
that's-
going to
so
say
that's-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my story point for looks, but looks wise, that puke was some of the like most top notch movie
I
puke I've
also-
ever seen.
Huge laugh out of me. Huge laugh. Like I couldn't even like, because I usually when I watch a comedy, it's even if it's hilarious and I'm by myself, I don't laugh. Like I just kind of acknowledge that shit's funny and like that's just who I am. I guess just dead inside or something. But like that moment killed me. Like and it's funny because I've seen it before a couple times and I didn't even remember that. And I was like, that is like the first real accurate thing that they have shown with like Kevin James' performance in the ring is he would just puke all
Yeah.
over.
And I was so relieved that they went puke. This is a really odd thing to say, but like puke is like somehow the more highbrow gross humor. You're allowed to do puke in movies and somehow it's not the same. Like when he ate that applesauce, I was like, here we go. He's going to be farting through this fight and then he's going to shit his pants. Here's the Jack and Jill. Like, here's whatever, like, that part of the movie coming. And then when they went puke, I was actually kind of relieved because I was expecting him to shit his pants at the end of it. And for that to be the payoff.
Fun fact, that actually happens in fights more often than you'd
Yeah.
think.
More often than puking.
Far more
Yeah,
often than
definitely. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
I
was
don't know. They missed an opportunity. They definitely missed an opportunity for him to get choked out and shit his pants. 100%.
It's in the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
Is it on the Blu-ray? Check the Bluray for us.
I feel like I love that we're hitting on the main thing about Here Comes the Boom is that the movie was fine. There's just so many missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Dana
really
White being
are,
an
though.
asshole, shitting his pants, breaking his spine. There's just so many opportunities.
Yeah, I think it actually just like it struggles so much. I know that we're kind of back to story here, but I think like the same way that the visual look of the movie is very kind of like what are they trying to do here? It's it's very much the same with the subplots. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what is the actual, like, what am I taking away from the subplots here?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. If we even equate it to like that very apt Hungry Man meat and potatoes type dish that's being served, it's like, what are you really showcasing? You know, like, what is the real focus of this meal, of this movie? You know, like, it's just like, there's just stuff for you to eat. It's a buffet.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
It is exactly.
It's not trying to, whereas you can't deny that $1 Million Baby is trying to like curate something, which take it or leave it, you know.
Right.
Well, shall we observe what they've curated for us sound-wise?
Ooh, let's end the round here. So let's move into our next round. Sounds good? Begin. that's a new thing.
Boys, there's one film in this category that is going to win, and it's not $1 Million Baby, because that fucking film was the quietest goddamn movie I have ever seen. I could not understand or hear a single thing that was said.
TV was on max.
Yeah.
I had the surround sound headphones on, and I had them blasted. And then when I exited out of the disc and the PlayStation 4 sounds came on, I was deaf for I assumed that when you're in war and like a flashbang goes off, that that's what happened to me.
Yeah, you were shell shocked in your basement for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
you got to stop playing Call of Duty so much. Yeah, Sean, I agree. Between like, I won't have too much to say, as I often don't for sound. It's usually a shorter category. I find for $1 Million Baby, between the grumbled lines, between the music that I thought was pretentious. I think it was understated in nice ways sometimes, but in other ways it was like a whole separate thing that, like, I expected the camera to pan over and someone was on a guitar.
Yeah. Well, the guitarist does have their own line in the credits.
Yeah, I bet. You know what I mean? Like, I just half expected to be them in the gym with them or something. So that was a lot. And then also there was something else too. And the narration. As part of as a thing, as part of the sound. I can't believe they did that much. That Clint saw Shawshank Redemption and was like, yeah, that, or much of that anyways. One of the two.
Morgan, I need you to come mumble in my movie. I'll be mumbling, and Hilary Swank's going to be mumbling with an accent.
Could you dub over the whole film so I could actually hear his lines? Because that's a great Clint. That's a great Clint.
Get off my lawn. That's in every film he does, right?
Yeah, but there were full conversations where I would miss like every third or fourth line.
Just the kettle, Aaron boiled water, so the kettle was like 20 feet away, and it was on, and I had to put it I had to double the volume to hear it over the steam.
Yeah.
That sounds like a kettle problem, bro.
Yeah. A kettle it's a steampunk kettle. It's a gas-powered kettle, weirdly enough.
Shoveling the coal really is what
pull start. A pull start kettle.
A pull start. I bet that exists somewhere. Whereas Here Comes the Boom has fun music.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there's a whole subplot about music in this movie.
There is. And that to me is actually like a really good subplot.
A really good subplot.
I thought that they actually did a good job with what they showed us, and they should have showed us more. There should have been more of a emphasis on that. Like,
the kids should have. Yeah. Did the kids play his song as he walked in?
At the end,
there's something else.
The Holly Hold Me.
Holly Hold Me.
Yeah, which I thought was a really funny choice for Henry Winkler, and he delivers that line well when he goes and changes the song.
Yeah,
and he's like, "It's a hit. It's Neil Diamond."
Yeah,
it picks up. Yeah,
yeah.
And then
But I thought it was funny too. Even I made a note when we first are introduced to the music class, which is, first of all, that would be way over budget. They have double basses. They got multiple cellos. That'd be way too much money.
Yeah, string section.
Yeah, string section. Are you kidding me? Whatever. But regardless, when he first walks in, the music improves as he's walking into the room. I don't know if that was a choice because it's he's imagining it to be something better, or the kids are actually getting getting better. But at first, it's just off pitch enough
Beautiful.
that it's like this perfect encapsulation of the high school band, like high school music. And I was like, wow, they nailed that sound. And if they got professional musicians to come in and to just like perfectly sound wrong like that, that's a level of work that I really appreciate in
John
this
Williams
filmmaking.
and the London Philharmonic came in and they all detuned or uptuned a little bit. Yeah.
And just like adjusted their fingering off just enough. Yeah, I thought it was it was like funny to me. Like I laughed. Like it was good.
Yeah.
Sound, yeah.
Okay, is that it? Any other sound?
I was just going to say the name of the movie is a song that they almost used too many times. Almost. I'm actually surprised that they didn't. By the end of the movie, I wasn't like, oh my God, this song again. They actually, I kind of like how they kind of like just like took a hard right away from that song. And I like how they almost used it as like a caricature MMA fighter song. And they were like, that's not what this is about, actually.
Well, and then Winkler has his guitar, his airport guitar cover version, which is just perfect.
It was good because Winkler's the man.
He's the man. But also they have exactly what you're saying, Andrew. They have a payoff and a little bit of a joke where it as you say, it's a cliche to the point where the other fighter in one of his fights plays it ahead of him first, right? That's the whole thing that makes him have to get a different song. Yeah. So it's, there is some thought, and they are, like I said, like they are laughing at themselves. Like the movie isn't afraid to be like, laugh at us, laugh at me, like laugh at all of us. And so like that's all wrapped up as part of it, I think.
It's beautiful.
Any other thoughts about sound?
The score for Here Comes the Boom, the actual physical score was pretty insipid, and like at the end when it was just playing the same 4 bars of music over and over and over again, I kind of wanted to reach through and throttle him, but I like, as I said, I think the movie completely fell apart about 20 minutes before that, so I was already off the wagon.
Right. Well, yeah. Whoops. Well, end of round here. That's it. I'm calling it. So moving on to our fourth and final main round. Acts good? So, so yeah, Dan?
Well, I don't know where to start with the acting in these movies. I mean,
it's tough.
It is tough. So, Kevin James. Let's talk about Kevin James.
Let's talk about Kevin James.
Let us please.
Because Kevin James, he shows in this movie that he is capable of some very grounded, genuine, heartfelt moments as an actor.
Yep.
Which made me so angry when he just fell back on his like Kevin James shtick. Right?
Yeah.
And I that's maybe the one thing I appreciated about the kind of out of character performance he has in the beginning of the film, where he's the opposite of a regular Kevin James guy. He's just an asshole. But then that goes away pretty quick. Like then by the time we're in the night school scene, he's like full on.
Yeah.
He's full on Kevin James. Yeah.
Shtick.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There were some times in this movie where I was like really kind of floored by how good of an outing Kevin James was having.
Yeah. Which then when you realized how little Salma Hayek cared about the entire movie in general,
God. No
it was
kidding.
it was a little annoying to be like, Kevin James is trying Salma.
Yeah.
Oscar,
he's like out acting her.
Like Salma Hayek, Oscar nominee, Oscar
Nominee.
winner,
I think
nominee.
I don't know.
Nominee for sure.
What was she
also
nominated for?
Frida.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
Oh yeah.
And just I gotta say, all-time fave for me. I love Salma Hayek. What a beautiful human. Okay, whatever. So
Keep it in your pants, Jack.
Yeah, keep
I
being
will
weird
not.
on the podcast, Jack.
What? She's stunning.
But yeah, okay, fine. Yes,
She is beautiful.
she's beautiful.
But her performance
She
was bad.
Yeah, she's normally like Selma Hayek could have shown up and like just played an exaggerated version of herself, which I think they were trying to get her to do, and that would have been charming as fuck because she's pretty, or she's gorgeous. I shouldn't say she's pretty, but she's also just
She's
like
super talented.
Wait, is
super
she beautiful?
talented.
That's the
She's
thing.
got comedic chops.
quirky. Yeah, absolutely. But she was phoning it in so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really really disappointing.
To me, it was almost like she showed up, she hadn't looked at the script, and she was almost like getting someone to prompt her lines right before they'd go into the scene. Like the scene in the gym where he was trying to like make a really like he was a genuine kind of like play for her, and it like I actually felt like he's actually he's Kevin James, and he's in a scene with Salma Hayek, so he didn't even really have to act that hard, right?
No, he was like,
you're literally like, oh my God, like here's Salma Hayek and she's my, romantic opposite in this. And I have to try and like charm her. And he I think even like for like the genre of comedy that it is, I think it's funny that he pulls out the thing and he just eats it, trying to do the slam dunk, and he just eats it but like her line delivery in that scene is like literally like she's reading it like it's Saturday Night Live and they didn't have enough time to really go over the lines.
Yeah.
Or like what the scene even is.
Yeah.
Like anything. Yeah.
It was tough.
But Kevin James, to expand on him, like I mentioned him as being like potatoes. And that's kind of what I realized about him. I realized also that I haven't seen many of his things. I've never seen the Paul Blart series. I know. What am I doing with my life? No Zookeeper?
King of Queens? Come on.
No King of Queens. Like, what am I doing?
Queens is classic, actually. You should
love
give that
King
a
of
watch.
Queens. I'm not even gonna lie. I have watched all of
Patton
King of
Oswalt.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Great. Okay. Guys. Okay. But I kind of realized, like in this movie, he really is like potatoes. Like he's pretty bland. Like he doesn't make any. If you actually watch just his face, he barely does anything in terms of like it's a very neutral style of acting that he does for much of it. And it's like he's but for a lot of it, I found he's like kind of the potato thing that other people are doing more like interesting things around. You have Nico and you have Henry Winkler, and you have these characters who are like being the interesting things, and he's just like the starchy component, just being
kind of absorbs the energy. And I don't mean like takes away from it. I actually think he does a pretty good job of balancing out like the quirkiness in the film. Like
you want that
guy.
You want some potatoes in your bite, like. That's what you want. I don't know why. Am I hungry? I keep talking about food.
Might be hungry.
I kind of disagree, though.
Okay.
I thought that he. I mean, I said this in my opening comments. I think that he actually kind of had this interesting balance of subtle nuance and cartoonish. So
I agree.
I think that he actually like lived on either end of neutral and bland.
But like he wasn't trying and I agree with you, Dan. I just mean that he wasn't like the movie wasn't as though like it was led by him. This wasn't Jim Carrey in The Mask, where he is the prime. He's the tuna steak.
Yeah, right.
It's like he was, he was well-made potatoes.
Yeah. Everyone wants a bit of potato.
That's the thing.
Unless that bit of potato is in a mall or in a zoo or at a grown-up Adventureland. I've never seen Grown Ups. I don't know what that's about.
I feel like I should now. I feel like I'm missing out after this movie.
Yeah.
But his little kind of web series, the Sound Guy, pretty fucking funny. If you guys haven't seen it, he has a whole ongoing web series where he just like superimposes himself into popular movies as a sound recordist.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's good. It is actually good. Yeah, he's clever.
Kind of
He's really clever.
That's what we would do if we had the money to superimpose things, though. Is that kind of jokes. So we can appreciate.
Yeah, that's true. The production value is super fucking high on these things too, though. It's pretty nuts.
Kevin James, if you're listening, don't come on the podcast, but if you could superimpose yourself into the podcast,
oh my god, that would be a dream come true.
That would be really
great. Bring Carrie with you.
You can actually just superimpose Carrie Elways instead of you.
Yeah,
that'll
but
be
you
like
can voice
halfway.
him. Yeah.
Hashtag superimpose Carrie coming on.
So Clint Eastwood is a mumbly
terrible
dude.
actor.
The way you said last week, Jack, what is Jeremy Irons? Why is Jeremy Irons? I respond to that with why is Clint Eastwood? What is Clint Eastwood?
I don't know.
Well, he's a cowboy.
Is he?
No, but I mean, like that's what he is, though, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, he is that character from Good, Bad, and the Ugly, right? Like, and that's kind of like what people want from him, what people expect from him, and that's like literally what I've seen from him in pretty much every movie. He's like the Hollywood cowboy, like in the sense of like he's always frowning. He's always frowning. Like it's
scowling, glowering.
scowling, exactly.
Yeah.
the sun is in his eyes constantly, right? Like it's I don't know.
There's a brilliant terrible part of one of the fights after he takes over as her manager, and she's in there and she's getting some hard hits, and it's just him at the side of the ring. You can just barely hear him. He's being like, yeah, get her, you stupid bitch. Get her.
Punch her.
Fuck you,
Yeah,
bitch.
get her.
Yeah. And he's just dropping bitch silently mumbling at the side of the ring. It's aggressive.
Yeah, he'd be a terrible trainer, cornerman, because you never talks louder than this.
No.
It's,
You gotta.
Yeah, whenever he was talking, I didn't like it, but I like him if he was just like a statue, if he barely spoke and he just glared at people.
which is the good, the bad, and the ugly is the cowboy character, right?
That's it. I guess that's it. That's so true. Yeah.
The blonde man. Yeah.
Right?
Blondie, yeah.
So when the movie is about him, you realize it's actually about him. It's kind
Surprise.
of weird.
But
And he's
that's
doing
the
this-
problem, right? Is the movie isn't about him until it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about a girl's murder, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the end. It's a murder mystery.
Although I will say, I think it is slightly, it is, I think it does have the right message about assisted suicide.
Yeah, oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Which is
it's so
interesting
hard.
for 2004, right? Like, because that is probably a lot more like taboo in 2004 than it is in 2021, which I'm not, making a case that the movie is like some sort of,
Yeah, because Terry
groundbreaking
Schiavo was
thing.
happening around then too, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Yikes.
What is that?
For Terry Schiavo, she was like on a feeding tube, and
Yeah.
I don't know it well enough to be an expert on this, but like one side wanted her to be unplugged, and the other side, and like the pro-life movement was like, no, you can't. This is a living being.
Yeah,
And-
just a
but
definitive,
she was-
definitive
she was-
early example of.
Yeah, unresponsive, so she
Yeah.
couldn't give consent herself, and it was like, brr.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so uncomfortable when the doctors are fighting to keep her alive.
Mhm.
It's like it's somehow you realize how inhumane that is.
Indignant.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
and that
she
they're
bites
drugging
her own
her.
tongue in
Oh.
that and
Yeah.
like wants to die. And I'm like, that, like, yeah, like, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's like, it's as much as we've kind of shit on like how contrived it is, still the imagery, still her performance, it was still like, man, like, I'm just like, just like, don't do this to her, like, the fact that it's so brutal that she's doing that to herself. It's so uncomfortable.
Okay, we've already touched a bit on most of the main characters, even throughout our discussion before in $1 Million Baby. Do we have any thoughts on her trailer park family?
They were over the top
Margot
caricatures.
Martindale?
Oh, that's Margot Martindale.
Yeah.
Love it. She was great. They were all fantastic at being the most over the top caricatures you could put on script.
Yeah. They were kind of like
it was
those,
a weird note.
jerks. Just jerks.
Go in there, be ungrateful. And I don't deny that ungrateful families exist that just want to feed off of
That's
their
a real
children.
thing. Yeah.
And the welfare system, that's kind of a myth. The like sitting around doing nothing thing. That's
Bit of the Clint Eastwood touch in there.
yeah. This is what 2003. So we're riding high off George Bush and the Patriot Act, and everyone's all gung ho about killing poor people. But where was I going with this? Damn socialism getting in the way of.
You were going to blame China, I think.
But the
Yes,
actors are good, I think, is kind
The
of
actors
where
are good.
Yeah.
Like the characters aren't great. They're pretty one-dimensional, but like the actors do it well.
They do the job. It's just I would buy them as in their current form if everyone else in the film wasn't also some caricature of something.
Yeah.
Because then it's just a panoply of like cartoon characters all doing what we expect them to do.
Yeah, for sure. And
Anthony Mackie, shout out to the Falcon.
Yeah.
I didn't
Being a
realize that he was in
bad
this
boy.
movie.
Yeah, it's wild. Hey, he
Who
just
plays
pops up.
another?
He's like, and he plays a pretty
gigantic
good
piece
bully,
of shit.
right?
Yeah.
Like but it's like it's like weird because it's like this character-driven drama, and yet like he's like this antagonist kind of like subplot with Danger with Jay Baruchel's character.
Yeah.
And it's like I kind of like the moment where Morgan Freeman steps in and kind of kicks his ass and gets that like 110th fight. I'm like, oh, that's that was a nice little callback to where he was talking about like 109 fights, and and I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, like I mean, like he is just an asshole. Like he is just a piece of shit. That you so much so that you'd be like, why is he in the gym?
Yeah, why are you letting this guy in here?
Why wasn't the like? I don't know if they could have done that differently with the writing, with the champion who went off and.
I thought he was coming back for sure.
And with him, but I mean, like, could you have somehow combined those two characters? I don't know, because it seemed almost like this guy was just like a boxer who was there, who's a shitty person, but he wasn't like you think you'd almost need to know that he was like a top ranked contender or something like that. There needed to be some sort of justification as to why he was in this gym if he's such an asshole. And clearly, like, they aren't really a gym of assholes if they're like they have danger in there, and like he's taking care of his friend who is a gambler who has a gambling problem. Like even though he's kind of he's Clint Eastwood, so he's rough around the edges, cowboy style, kind of everything. He's not really an asshole, know.
No, yeah. He's just he's
There's
got a lot of
respect.
stuff going on.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, overall though, I don't know, the acting in $1 Million Baby is kind of a funny thing for me, whereas there are more like kind of shining stars that I kind of remember from Here Comes the Boom. Henry Winkler is awesome.
I want Henry Winkler to be my dad.
He saves this movie so many times in a row.
I think Boss Rutan's got it for a guy who doesn't act.
He was brilliant.
Great.
Boss Rutan grew on me. His opening scene.
Yeah, he's got some rough moments.
Yeah, like where we first meet him and he's trying to do some serious acting as like the confused student. Was pretty rough. But as soon as he's allowed to just let loose as Boss Rutan, he's so charming.
Every scene where he's in his gym is delightful to watch. So when he kicks the ball because he's pissed off and just nails the guy.
Like, honestly, that first sequence where he just like kicks Kevin James's ass, like, and is like, and then and Kevin James is like, yeah, well, like anybody can do it if they're already in the hold. And then he's just like that, like that's a great sequence of like, I'm out. I'm free, I'm out, I'm bored.
And then also another part of the movie, like kind of subplot side character thing, which I feel like we can mirror to the Trailer Park Family, is we have Kevin James's brother and his family,
which is his real brother.
Is that his real brother?
Oh shit!
That's why
I
he's
thought
in
they
all
were
of Kevin's
great
movies.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I thought his relationship with his brother was super fun, and I enjoyed the dynamic of like this like dysfunctional family.
Yeah,
it kind of read as though some King of Queens era sitcom.
Yeah, well, Gary Valentine, who is his brother in real life, who plays that character, is in King of Queens.
Okay, well, there you go.
His neighbor or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. Brother or neighbor or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna stop us there because I don't know what's gonna happen. I have a potential phone call at 7, so I'm gonna say end of round here.
So we can quick likes and gripes.
Some quick likes and gripes, and then we'll just kind of see what happens. So likes and gripes, likes and gripes. How it works is that I put 2 minutes on the clock, and then we have 2 minutes to say a like or a gripe. I mean, just go around saying things that we didn't get to that we want to either like or gripe about these movies. Is that clear, Andrew? You feel like you got it?
I think so. Yeah.
All right, wicked. So we'll go. To give you a chance to get it the most, we'll go Sean, we'll go Dan, we'll go me, we'll go Andrew.
Perfect.
Sound good? So, starting the timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Gripe, a bizarre way to get your plot to the UFC.
Like Henry Winkler as a stool.
Gripe, bus poster for The Apprentice.
Like real fighters that pop up through Here Comes the Boom.
Like the handshake under the speed bag.
Like the line, this one thought the Xbox was chocolate.
Gripe that his principal grills him in front of his class.
Gripe that they didn't just go with boss, calling him Nico. Call him boss.
Yeah. Like the line, okay, you're vulnerable like a puppy.
That was good.
Gripe, ring girls still being a thing, especially in women's fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gripe. Just Kevin James, like the whole flirting subplot and leaning into kiss a bunch. Gripe.
Like the opening scene of $1 Million Baby and the lighting, especially on Hilary Swank, and she's standing up in the arena looking down.
Yeah. Morgan Freeman's monologue about when your neck turns just a little too far and your brain takes over. I thought that was actually really cool.
That was good too.
Gripe, the complete lack of on-screen chemistry between Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Like Swank is just so committedly shredded for this movie. I was so impressed.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. Gripe, that episode of The Office where they can't decide if she's hot. Just watch $1 Million Baby, man. There's a few shots of her hitting a heavy bag. Holy shit. So that might be a like too. I'm just doubling down on Jack's like.
The likey Grape. Henry Winkler's pump up and shouting when he forgot to choose the song.
Perfect. And that's our timer. Great job. Nice like some gripes, everyone. So let's see now when we get down to these official ratings. How quickly can we get through these right now?
It's
see if we
7
can
o'clock
beat the
now. What happens at 7 if you have the phone call?
I don't know.
Never seen this before.
I'm gonna
You'll have to
maybe
say, just a second. I'm doing a podcast. Yeah, my vote goes to $1 Million Baby for this round.
I might be able to mute myself and I'll juggle it.
This is for a class that you're evaluating as a teacher, right, Jack?
I'm not evaluating these people right now.
Okay.
I'm just attending. There's nothing that I'm evaluating.
Gotcha.
That would be bad.
Or great.
Or I'm the best, coolest Kevin James teacher everywhere. I'm up on the desk. I'm commenting. That's a cool dragon. Claps.
I don't know why he was doing that, but he was doing that. He's like, come on, people, let's rumble.
That the kids like suddenly knew the information that they
and
hadn't
they're like,
been taught.
oh, he's funny now. He's a funny teacher now.
Oh, there it is. I'm getting a phone call. So category, who, I don't know, riff for a moment? I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, the first category while Jack answers the phone call is going to be the story. So maybe let's get our rankings of the story out here. This is hard. Legitimately, I don't know how I'm voting for any of these categories whatsoever.
Nice. I'm glad I picked these two movies then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good. I want to try and actually kind of hear what's coming through the speaker on Jack's phone.
So I'll just get real quiet here.
Yeah.
So
let's get quiet like the $1 Million Baby sound.
Oh yeah, I got my script. Just give me a moment here. I'm gonna pull it up for you.
Mute your input there, Jack.
Oh yeah, actually I got it here. Yep.
I love that he hasn't muted his microphone.
Vacation, I told the kids the dog went on.
All right.
Okay, well, maybe we'll fill this weird silence.
Yeah.
Story goes to, I think I'm going to have to say $1 Million Baby because it doesn't have as many just like smushed in plot device. Well, it does, but I'm more, I don't know.
I was.
Well, I got a script that says rural revival here, but I don't have anything to say to that.
Have fun editing this nightmare.
No way, it's all staying.
It should stay.
I thought that I was gonna have a much easier time.
It says yes 911. What is your emergency? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah.
This is silly. I don't like this.
I love it.
Jack, mute yourself.
Mute.
He can't hear us because he took his headphones out.
Yes.
Are you host, Daniel?
What can I do
you can
for
mute
you?
him probably.
Can I?
I think so.
No, I can only direct message him. It's fine. We'll just talk over him. I thought that I'd have an easier time picking between the story of these two movies until
Mute yourself, Jack. Mute yourself.
On the Zoom call.
On the Zoom.
He just takes the microphone.
Okay.
Okay, take two. I thought that I was going to have a much easier time choosing between these two movies until the plot twist of Hilary Swank breaking her neck in the fight. Because then the movie becomes more of a movie for me.
Right, it really does.
Yeah, because until then, the two stories kind of follow a very similar structure.
Yeah.
Of like underdog wants to climb the ranks, and
One is kicking ass, one is getting their ass kicked, but it's there. The parallels are there.
yeah, they're both like inexplicably successful at what they're doing. I mean, Clint Eastwood has this whole. Clint Eastwood has this whole diatribe about how it takes 4 years to train a fighter, and then she's training for 6 months and becomes a fucking knockout artist. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So,
And did you notice that there's a weird like time jump? Like suddenly it's like 2 years later. I noticed that there's something weird that happens that it's not fully. There's like some sort of she's 31, and then I think she's like they reference her being as like 33 or 34 or something like that. And I don't understand when that happens. Maybe I misunderstood that, but I just
I think they talk about her birthday when she turns 32.
Okay, maybe I'm.
So
maybe
I
I'm
mean,
wrong.
like time is I guess like I don't know how fast time is supposed to be passing, but I didn't catch any kind of weird jump. I don't know. I guess
Mute
you know
in the
what?
Zoom, Jack.
He can't hear you.
He had the headphone in.
Mute in the
Mute
Zoom.
in the
Jack.
Zoom.
It's funnier if you don't, though. That's
I know, but then we're trying to. Unless we just decide to sit and listen to his conversation.
all right. He's
Yeah.
good now. He's muted.
Okay.
Okay. There you go.
I think. Okay. So here's my decision for me. I think that my vote has to go to $1 Million Baby because I had way more issues with the plot holes
Yeah.
in Here Comes the Boom, and that's just because I'm a fight fan.
Yeah.
And there was so many things that just didn't make sense in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the cringiness of the last like 20 minutes of the film kind of makes Here Comes the Boom the lesser in this, but not by much.
Yeah, I think for me, I have to give to $1 Million Baby because I don't think like going back to it, it's by definitely nowhere near as good as I thought it was as a 14-year-old in the theater being overcome with emotions because I had no idea what was going to happen. But I think that the story is definitely not the problem with that film. If you're gonna rip that film up, I don't think the story is the problem simply because I think like without the choices they make, just like if you just look at the overarching story arc, like it is pretty amazing just in the sense of like she has this like iconic, like this rise to the top and then something brutal happens to her and we have to see the fallout and it's heart-wrenching. The fallout is heart-wrenching.
But the only thing I'll say that put a huge wrench in the narrative gears for me in $1 Million Baby is the fact that the champion who she's fighting is known to be a dirty rule-breaking fighter. The fact that she would have gotten all the way to that fight still as a champion doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I don't understand even like taking that fight, to be honest. If she's dirty and she's a real piece of shit, like they kind of like build her up to be. And by the way, she's a real fighter. She was 17-0 in her real career, so she's a real boxer.
Oh, cool.
Was she a clean fighter when she was a boxer?
I'm sure she was.
Yeah.
Like, there's
But
no.
see, that's my point. If you're on tape as continuously breaking rules as a fighter, you're not keeping your belt. You're not going to be allowed to keep fighting.
Well, that's not dramatic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It is
If
kind
you
of.
don't-
It's like the Hollywood version, right?
Yeah.
It's the same with like the punch sequences and stuff. There's just certain things where I'm just like, no, like that's not what it'd be like.
What makes you feel more emotional? Is it she's fighting someone who's her equal for the first time, and suddenly there's a slip and she hits her neck, or an evil person does an evil thing and our hero suffers?
Yeah.
Well, my issue wasn't the dirty punch after the bell, because that shit happens, but there's like huge penalty for it, and for a movie that is trying to establish a hyper realism tone, to have this big kind of glaring issue where the main villain or the main, like the champion, is documented as a rule breaking fighter. It doesn't make any sense. Like she would never, like the amount of times that you see her just punching a person while they're down, or fucking full on like jamming their nose up into their brain. Like it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, like,
it wouldn't happen.
like seeing her punch while they're down, like that would be it. That would be over. It would be over.
So Jack's put his picks into the text so we can move on to looks. He picked Baby for story.
Cool.
Okay.
So that's a sweep.
Yeah.
On to looks.
I mean, I think it was pretty clear in the discussion. I think it had for me. It has to go to $1 Million Baby. Yeah, there's just an artistry there, right?
Yeah, it is a beautiful film, and like the like I said, the fight sequences are the lighting I think is beautiful, and I think the stuff that happens in the gym is usually pretty nice, like especially late at night. Oh man, like when she's working by herself, like it's just so pretty.
Yeah.
With that one silhouette shot of just her in the bag.
Yeah.
And just like it's beautiful.
Oh yeah. Great sweep there. Sound definitely boom for me. Boom for Jack too. By the looks of it.
And they use the sound like as part of like the narrative. So definitely boom.
Yep. Oh, a big sweep.
I'll go
Daniel?
with boom too. I was.
Right.
I will say that normally I'm in favor of a movie that chooses to use like a lack of music or a lack of score as a sound choice, but that coupled with everything else being inaudible in the movie, it can't.
The guitar didn't really work for me.
No,
we didn't really talk about that during the sound portion of it, like me specifically, but the guitar didn't really work for me.
Well, you can't have a slow acoustic guitar playing under like a boxing training montage. It just doesn't work. Yeah. I mean, I guess you can, but like it sucks.
Yeah.
Acting. Okay, so Jack says boom for acting. So there's one for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have to also go with. I think it also has to go to boom. I mean,
explain.
Well, if only what Jack just said. If only just for Henry Winkler, because he's the only person I watched in either of these movies that I actually cared about in any way. I thought Clint Eastwood was horrendous in this film. Morgan Freeman was playing Morgan Freeman with a cold.
I thought Hilary Swank did a good job. I just felt it was just kind of like one note for her, and not like really her fault. It's just kind of what the character was written to be.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. The only person who had any kind of actual like arc or nuance was the two old guys.
Yeah,
and they kind of sucked. They didn't work well together. Yeah. They didn't do much.
Jay was good though. Jay was good though. Shout out.
Jay was good. Jay was good. Jay, you were awesome, dude. I know you're listening.
Jay was not good. Jay was very bad.
Get these guys carry. Guys carry.
Jay was dreadful in a dreadful role.
Dreadful role, but no, I think he was great.
But he was cute though.
Oh, he was so cute. I'd fuck Jay.
Oh, you hear that, Jay? Anytime, buddy.
It was fine.
Yeah, but I thought,
I'll show you the Motor City Cobra.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Daniel says,
people were way more charming in Boom, and it just made for an all-around more pleasant experience.
Andrew, what do you say in acting?
Oh man, this is actually, it's surprising that this is this difficult because I feel like it's strangely even between the two protagonists, the two main characters, because I feel like they did their job well in the movie. I don't think that they had a tremendous arc. I don't think, unfortunately, and I guess technically Hilary Swank's character is not the protagonist, but to me that's a weird switch that happens. To be honest, it feels like they try and fake us into her being the protagonist, and then all of a sudden if we're looking up protagonists against each other, I'm taking Boom. But my problem with Boom is Salma Hayek is really, really, really bad. Like on the same level as some of the poor acting in $1 Million Baby. But I guess I think there's probably like oddly more consistency from Here Comes the Boom. Which is weird.
Fucking saw that coming.
No, that's so weird. That's so
weird. I'm gonna throw mine to $1 Million Baby, mostly because it doesn't matter, but also because I think I had more acting issues with Here Comes the Boom than I did $1 Million Baby, which is but also again very close. Very, very close.
This should not
closer
be as
than
close.
It should be.
Yeah.
So going into rewatchability, we are tied.
I think I'm back for a minute, by the way.
Okay, well, rewatchability, we're tied 2-2. Jack, you vote in case you have to run away.
I just want to say I agree with everything that was said. I was half listening. For rewatchability and overall agree, all of these points were closer than they should have been, except for maybe the story and looks. But the other stuff has been closer for rewatchability. I'm gonna say, Here Comes the Boom.
Me too.
Yeah.
Daniel?
Surprisingly, I think I would give it to $1 Million Baby.
What?
Wow.
I've seen Here Comes the Boom twice now, and I think that is enough for me in a lifetime.
That's fair.
For
That's
that
absolutely fair.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not as charming the second time around as it was the first time I watched it. So I have to imagine there's just like diminishing returns on rewatches. And yeah, I don't know. I think $1 Million Baby it has its flaws, but it's more of a movie, and I can just imagine more instances in the future where I might actually watch it again.
Well, with
Yeah,
that,
I think I don't think I can do it again. I think as much as even though I own it on Blu-ray, or I should be gesturing over here,
Yeah.
I think it's still too emotionally manipulative for me. I think it just hurts me too much, just because I do really like her as this character, and I do really want her to succeed, and I don't like how badly they handled her neck breaking scene, and I don't like so much about that, and I don't like how like this payoff of her telling off her family, like it's good, but like I don't know, they don't really build it up enough because they're assholes, and I think Hilary Swank could have done more.
Yeah.
And I think I just like, as far as a fight fan, I like trying to figure out all the little cameos, and I like trying to figure out and I like the stupid jokes and the MMA humor and the physical comedy. Like I like physical comedy, so I think Here Comes the Boom for me.
well,
Yeah, kind of, and yeah, I know, Sean, you were going to announce it, but I want to kind of add to the rewatchability thing, which is that it's kind of, as you're saying, Andrew, it's not just that there were more things that I found enjoyable about Here Comes the Boom. There were also more things in $1 Million Baby that kind of grinded my gears, of even like the kind of general vibe of like Hilary Swank. Her story is that she's going to work harder, and therefore that means she gets better more, which is just that's just not how it works. And of course, like Here Comes the Boom isn't any better for that. Of course, it's worse.
But it's stupid, right? Because she clearly is like naturally gifted once you see her start fighting. Like she's clearly like head and shoulders above the competition, which that's the thing to me that doesn't make sense with the movie story.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when she says she doesn't know what a speed bag is, and she's been training for 3 years already, and you're like, I'm sorry?
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it sounds like with a score of 3-2,
I can't believe this.
the Citizen Kane of the week is
Boom! Here comes the boom!
Here Comes the Boom.
Here comes the boom.
Little applause.
Twisting.
Take that, Clint Eastwood. Kevin James outproduced you.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Good picks, man. Good
picks.
choices,
Great picks.
Andrew. That
Glad.
was a fun
I'm
week.
so glad. I was kind of nervous. I didn't want to screw it up.
No, it was a great pick where it was like two movies that had good things in different ways, each one of them, that made it actually quite tricky,
Yeah.
which was fun.
Awesome.
And thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's exciting to have like an outlet to join you and talk and have like a general focus rather than most Zoom meetings that I have where it's just like droning on or I don't know, between work and between just like personal, like one-on-one Zooms, I'm pretty burnt out.
Yeah,
Sure.
no kidding.
Well, it's so good to see you
Yeah, you too.
and to do a thing. We'll have to have you back. I think
love to
I
come
speak
back.
for everyone when I say that'd be amazing. And well, maybe not. Well, maybe we can trade out Dan when you come back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There you
Sounds
go.
Um,
There's an idea.
Get a break for once.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of Andrew Merrigan, like and share the podcast. if you're a fan of Edmonton, because he's an Edmonton boy.
Big Edmonton Oilers fan. They're playing the Flames tonight. Calgary
Yeah.
Flames.
How you enjoying the McDavid Drysidles? And
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Let's talk about with some $1 million babies. Woo.
Yeah. So thanks so much for listening.
Well, no, I think there's still a segment. Isn't
Sorry,
there?
my goodness. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have movie picks for next week. My lovely partner Erin will be joining us,
Woo.
and I'll let her say the rest here.
I can't wait for this.
Hello, Citizen Kane VS. So, since we can't party or travel right now, I wanted to choose a couple movies where we could live vicariously through other people who are partying and traveling. And what better place to travel for a party than Las Vegas, baby? Your classic this week is actually based on the classic novel by Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, directed by Terry Gilliam. And that was going up against the ever so schlocky rom-com What Happens in Vegas, starring Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher. Looking forward to joining you on the podcast next week.
Wow, she really did that. Hey, she went like of all the Vegas movies, that's where she went. Hey,
Yeah.
all right, okay, cool.
Wow.
So yeah,
I've
Fear and
never
Loathing.
seen it.
I haven't seen either. Yeah.
You've never seen Fear and Loathing?
No, I haven't. And I
buckle
love Terry
up.
Gilliam, but I've always avoided it because I hear it's like terrifying.
I watched that movie. Okay, so here's a little nugget of information. I watched that movie. I was on a flight from Toronto to Vegas, and I had taken like 2 weed gummy bears too many.
Oh, no.
And I watched that movie. So just that's a little nugget for you while you're watching it, just to think what was going on at 40,000 feet.
Hurrah.
The movie's it's a ride, man.
It's a trip.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm going to do my first drugs ever and watch it.
Could you have sounded more like a narc in that sentence?
I'm going to do my drugs.
First drugs.
Do you guys happen to have any first drugs that are good to do first times?
Methamphetamine, I hear, is a blast.
Cool. Do you know anyone? I don't know. Who could I talk to find some?
I don't know.
Andrew Merrigan.
You could talk to me, but I mean, I am in Alberta, so
You do have
there's lots of meth, is what I'm saying.
You do have your Breaking Bad look going right now.
I do, yes, exactly. Yeah, that's totally intentional.
Which really suits you, by the way. I'm digging like the bald head and the beard. It's like a good, yeah.
It's real good.
It. It's not a huge choice up top, but I try and keep it clean right here.
Well, you're making it work for you, buddy.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks again for hashtag coming on, Andrew.
Oh yeah, I'll come on Carrie Elwes if you need. You know.
All right.
Oh,
And we just lost him. And we lost him. And we just lost Carrie.
we were so close.
Nah, he would have tuned out probably after just before.
I think that's the new thing we should do.
At this point.
We should get guests to say, come on, Carrie. And then we should all be like, whoa, that's be past the line.
Too much.
Whoa.
Too much.
The hashtag is come on, Carrie. Come on, Carrie.
Right. Sorry, I misspelled it. Like, how could I know?
On that note, if anybody listening knows Carrie Elwes personally, and happens to be like good friends with him, put the bug in his ear. We'd love to have him on the show. We're big fans. Hashtag come on, Carrie.
You're afraid of the claw.
What the hell is that from?
Liar, liar.
Is he in Liar, Liar?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're afraid of the claw. Come on, one for the Gipper.
I have to rewatch Liar, Liar now.
There you go.
Isn't he also like the main villain in the first live action Jungle Book?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Oh,
We've had this
yeah.
discussion.
By the way, I love that film. So I don't know how it's aged. Maybe it's gone offensive, but like I loved that growing up.
Loved it. I agree.
So good.
Should get it on somehow. Anyway, I'm super excited for the picks for next episode. That's going to be great, and I'm so excited to have Aaron on. And yeah, any other thoughts? I think we're all wrapped up here. Yeah,
I think we're done.
Yeah.
All right.
Just one final question. What happened with your phone call there, Jack?
I'm so sorry. Look,
you not
this is
still
where you
on it?
apologize
I
for
thought I
Daniel's
turned-
editing.
I thought I turned off my mic. Does this turns it off? Does it not? Can you still
No, it
hear
does
me?
not.
No,
Oh yeah,
I can hear you.
yeah. We heard.
We
like,
can hear him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Oh man, I'm so sorry. I really thought by turning off my mic that was enough. That's my bad. Yeah, it was a. I had to be reading something, but it really wasn't clear, and I had to get that sorted, and then I was with it, and yeah. Yep.
We were there for the whole ride.
I'm sorry.
And the show's over now?
I think it it'll it's intermittent. It'll come back again at some point.
Are these dirty phone calls that you're getting?
No comment. These are my students. So
Oh yeah. No comment that out the wazoo.
I no comment that eternally.
Yeah. Good.
And
Good
I'll
stuff.
add a no.
Well, this has been good.
This has been great. I had fun. I had really fun this podcast. I think this was fun.
And
Citizen Kane versus Twisting.